Hello everyone, PallyTime here. Welcome to Path of Exiles, a free-to-play dungeon crawler Diablo-esque game that you could find on Steam. And for as long as I've been playing Diablo, and I've been playing Diablo 3 for a long time, since the game was released, I've been a pretty die-hard fan of the game. I've made hundreds of videos here on this channel of Diablo 3. But ever since I jumped into that game, people have been asking me to check out Path of Exiles as well, and I have been putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. Never actually made a video, even though I have attempted to enjoy the game several times. Now, in my past experiences, I was just going into the game and I was like, well, let's just play it. And there's such a steep learning curve and so much depth that this game has. Like, you could do just about any build you can imagine in this game. And, you know, that's a big statement, and it's probably not true in some cases. You know, I'm not inside your brain. I don't know what you're thinking. But it's very much a game where you could take any skill and just elevate it 20 times until it is just a completely different experience to use that skill. And I'll kind of tell you what I mean in a minute. Where in Diablo, your goal is to get certain set pieces that then augment your playstyle. I think Path of Exile is the opposite in the way that you have a skill and then you build your gear around that skill to augment that skill's playstyle. Very interesting. Now, when I jumped in, again, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was just finding skills on the ground, and I was trying to make those work. And when I tried that, I didn't have that great of an experience. This time when I approached the game, I mentioned on the 24-hour live stream that I was playing it. This time when I jumped in, I went in with the idea of making a Diablo-style character. So one of my favorite builds in Diablo 3 is the Spin to Win Barbarian. I absolutely love it. There's just something great about turning your brain off and killing everything on the screen, and then moving on to the next pack in a very, very quick manner. I wanted to try to recreate that, and for the most part, I think I've made some decent strides, especially for my first time really getting into the meat of this game. What you can see on the screen right now is my character spinning and winning. I'm sure you've already deduced that, and it's doing okay. I'll go ahead and try to explain how some of that actually works. If we go ahead and take a look at my gear, you'll notice that it has these little circles on these pieces, and this is actually where your skills go in Path of Exiles. I know this may not be much news to other people, or to most people that have played the game, but if I go ahead and like take my weapons off, you could see that my skill bar down here it doesn't have anything on it. It's all gone. So what this allows you to do is to make any character and build it exactly how you want to. For instance, in Diablo 3, a monk kind of always does the same things. There's variants of builds that you can do, but you're still limited in this range of this is what a monk does. In Path of Exiles, you don't really have that limitation, and it can be very freeing and also very intimidating at the same time. Skills are basically set by these gems, and they go into gear. Some gear has these links between, which means you can augment the ability with other skills in these links. I know this is weird, I know. So essentially, the easiest way of looking at this is my spin to win, which would be in my chest piece here. So the actual ability that I'm spinning with would be Cyclone. Just allows me to spin in a circle. There's nothing too special about it. I mean, it's pretty good with the right setup, but really there's not much to talk about here. We just spin in a circle and we deal some damage. You may be noticing that we're not dealing a lot of damage, and that's because I took all of my gear off, of course. Now, that spin can be augmented with faster attacks, which is a green gem that has to go in a green socket. And because it's linked to the Cyclone, well, now we spin a little bit faster and we can deal some more damage. And then I can also add in a physical damage support, which increases the physical damage of what we're doing. It just happens to be 37% with this particular gem. And now all of a sudden, our spin has gotten substantially better without too much augmentation as well. Another way that I've really made this build work is with another ability called the Warlord's Mark. And this is what I thought was really, really interesting. So the Warlord's Mark by itself is actually a curse that I would have to stop spinning in order to cast. And as you can see, it takes a decent amount of mana to cast this as well. So this really wouldn't work for what I was trying to do, because I always want to be spinning. If I have to stop spinning, I'm not doing what I want to do. But it turns out there's a way to augment a curse to fit this build in this game as well. I did a little bit of research and found the Blasphemy support gem. Supported curse spells are cast as auras. What does that mean? That means instead of stopping to cast this ability, I can give a portion of my mana bar over here on the right. I can give a portion of that to just be blocked out, and I'll be radiating this curse around my character rather than having to stop and cast it over and over. This allowed me to take an idea of making a spin to win Barbarian and actually make it a thing that I can pull off. I don't have the rest of my gear on, so I'm not really dealing any damage, but as you can see, I'm able to keep my health up, even though I am taking damage here. We'll go ahead and take a little bit more so you can see the effect. As long as I'm spinning, I'm going to be healing, and if you look over on the right, I never really run out of mana, which is exactly what I wanted to accomplish. I've always talked about the idea of how progression is the most important thing to me in games like this. I am not the type of player that wants to go around and search for the perfect piece of gear with the best stats on it imaginable to round out my build. I want the essential pieces. I like going out and finding the essential pieces, cultivating an idea and bringing it all together. And when I went into Path of Exiles with that idea, it became a much more rewarding and fun experience for me. And I've been thoroughly enjoying my time in the game this time around. So much so that I actually want to take this character all the way to the end of the game. I would actually really like to see what the map system is all about. I would really like to see the end game of Path of Exiles, because from what I understand, maps are essentially rifts from Diablo on steroids, and of course, that sounds intriguing to me. There are some really cool things that they add to the game over time that make it so there's just more stuff to do. Like every 3 months or so, they add in a new league, which is kind of the same as a new season in Diablo, but they're actually adding in a substantial amount of content. This time around, there's these frozen guys that I can break out, and they give me these items that I can use to upgrade pieces of gear. So these gloves that I got, I'm using these gloves because it has the sockets that I needed in order to make this build work. They're not necessarily good gloves. We can upgrade this this item with the relic we got from the frozen guys, with the essence we got from the frozen guys, and it just makes our gear better. So we don't necessarily have to look for these legendary pieces in order for a build like this to work. We can find the bare bones minimum socket requirements on anything and then upgrade those items to actually be exactly what we could use, which I think is fucking awesome, actually. I know I wanted a little bit more mobility with this type of setup, because while we are spinning, I mean it's doing okay, but we're not really flying across the screen. So I looked into these whirling blades, which is a ability that just allows me to dash a direction, and it allows me to cover a little bit of ground and deal damage to enemies that I move through. Now, there were some problems associated with this as well. If I have both of my auras up, the other aura I have is just an attack speed and movement speed increase. So again, the idea is we want to be spinning more and dealing more damage with that spin. The problem with whirling blades is that it takes from my mana bar. And as you can see, there's not a lot to work with there, especially if I'm spinning with these auras on. But there's a workaround for that too, which I thought was very interesting. It's called the blood magic support. Spend life instead of mana for supported skills, and this allows me to slot in that gem and a supported socket for whirling blades, and then take away from my health bar on the left rather than my mana bar on the right, which is awesome. Just fucking, it's so cool. And then we have faster attack support, so I could spam it a little bit more often. And of course, the moment we get back into combat, all I have to do is spin to get all of that health back that I was missing from the mobility. This is one of the frozen guys that drops those essences that I was speaking of not too long ago. But we're not here to get that right now. Let me just go ahead and finish this up. All right, we're back in town, and all of the skills that I've been talking about, all of the gear and the support gems I've been talking about, that's only half of the game's depth. I hope you're ready, because the other half of the game's depth comes from this massive... No, actually, let's do this for better effect. Hey! It comes from this talent tree, where you can spend points and augment your ability to perform on the battlefield. Now, you may be noticing that there's a lot of stuff here. For instance, I've been going for a lot of dual-wielding talents. I've been working my way over here, increasing my critical strike chance and picking up Fatal Blade to increase my damage, critical strike chance, and critical strike multiplier with swords. I've been making my way over there for a little while. But let's go ahead and start to zoom out so you can really see all of the possibilities here. Now, this is only the bottom, probably 8th of the talent tree. Let's go ahead and show you the rest of it. Every single one of these circles is a point you can put, or a talent you can put points into. It is a thing you can unlock to improve how your character plays, what they're good at. It kind of dictates what they do. And this is by far the most intimidating part of Path of Exiles. Because while there is abilities to respec, and you can go in and kind of change how you approach this, it is difficult to respec large amounts of your talent tree at one time. It's kind of like the refund passives, it's kind of for like touch-ups. It's like, so let's say I didn't want this talent that I just put points into. I could probably do 3 here and get rid of this, or 4 to go back to this link. But not really, I wouldn't really want to start over from scratch. Your starting class, it's also worth mentioning, just determines where you start out on the talent tree. I hope I get this right. So, Duelist is down here at the bottom. I believe this is Marauder here. Templar, I think, is here. I know Witch is here. And I don't know these two. I can't remember. And I don't know who starts in the middle. That seems weird. I didn't know there was one in the middle. Basically, your starting class is only your starting position on the tree. There's really nothing technically stopping me from starting as a duelist and working my way all the way up to left side to get something up here. As a witch, you can actually, even though you're starting up here where all these spell bonuses are and cast speed modifiers and all these intellect nodes, there's really nothing stopping you from being a melee witch if that's a build you wanted to try out, which is one of the most freeing parts of this game, but also one of the most intimidating parts as well. So I mean, if you wanted to play along with me, go ahead and take a look at my talent tree as of right now. I'm not saying that this is perfect by any means. I'm just saying that this is what I use to get by the first difficulty of the game, and it's what I'm going to continue to build on to improve my character moving forward as well. There's a lot of depth in there, and mostly, again, all I've really been focusing on in that talent tree is dual wield increases. We've got some melee increases there. We got some evasion and maximum health there. I actually have a talent down here called Iron Reflexes that converts all of my invasion rating into armor, and dexterity is no longer going to provide that evasion rating bonus. So essentially, any gear that I have that has evasion on it, like my helm here, all of that evasion rating that it has is just going to go straight to my armor bonus. And I've been trying to make this work.
Time for that soon enough.
And it's been working so far. And I'm intrigued to see where this goes. So I know this probably wasn't the most entertaining video in the whole world. I just wanted to give you a very brief, very, very, very brief summary of what I've been doing so far in this game. And I've been enjoying my time in Path of Exiles quite a bit. And it's going to be something that I continue to play in my free time, and maybe I can update you guys on the progress of this build moving forward. I know a new league is about to start in like 10 days or something. There's a way to check that. Hold on. Yeah, new league is starting in 10 days, 20 minutes, and 34 seconds as of the time of this recording. So if you wanted to jump into the game and learn a bit about it now, you could then make a new character when this league starts and get that new experience. So I'm assuming the Essence League is just going to be taken away and the new league will replace this. But yeah, Path of Exiles, it's pretty fun if you go into the game with a plan in mind. Like I said, every time I have approached the game with, hey, let's just figure this out, I've kind of been discouraged. I don't know. That's just me, though. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Maybe we'll do some more Path of Exile videos in the future. And I'll see you all next time.